Welcome, world, to another episode of Yatta Debates. This is episode 41. Why you got two fingers up like it's 42?
I was putting 41 in peace. Like,
No, you was definitely thinking it was
shut
42.
up.
We're gonna give you a pass on that one now. But anyway, yeah, we're episode 41 with Lamar Johnson, and he was giving us like a little bit of background of what he does. But I want to open up the floor to give himself like a little bit about his background. So first and foremost, Lamar, how you doing?
Pretty good.
Hey,
How you?
I'm good, man. Like, still going through the opening stages of COVID, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, they talking about a second wave coming through now. Like, it's about to get real. Everybody got too overzealous getting outside too quick.
yeah, this shit's crazy. I mean, what do you make of all of this? Like, you got people that think it's like bullshit. Some people like, it's a real issue, it's severe, you know what I mean? But
I mean, me and Shelly used to have conversations about stuff like this back in the day. So like, I could go off the rail with things like that. But it's I'm gonna be honest. I can say for me mentally, it's kind of a catch-22. At first, I was like, oh, this is BS. It's a setup, yada yada. But I mean, it's not impossible for it to still be a setup. But at the end of the day, it's still something becoming of an airborne disease. So
yeah,
people aren't taking it serious. At the end of the day, people are dying from it. But downside, they have been kind of using COVID as kind of a cover up for certain deaths. Like people have been dying for other natural causes, and they're like, oh, it's a COVID death.
yeah.
Like, kind of, it's unfortunately it's scaring people within social media and just the media in general, where everybody watching and doing all this. You seeing it's like 3,000 deaths within your town, you panicking. So
Yeah.
And it really only be like maybe, unfortunately, still 1,000 deaths, but still.
Yeah, like you said, the report's not right, and I was like, and we had this conversation with other people. It was like, who's keeping an accurate count of like who's actually passing from complications of COVID? Like, if you're in a hospital that has like all these COVID patients, right, and you die, let's say, like, I don't know, like a cancer or something, like you a long-standing cancer patient, right, and you finally collapse because of the cancer, but they rule you as a COVID death. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, just throw them in the pot, just throw them in the mix, like. Just add them.
Yeah, that's almost pretty much what they're doing.
Yeah, anybody who dies right now, they're being listed as COVID. Like, you go to the hospital, they're going to tell you test positive for COVID. Like,
I had to get a test just because my lady, with us having a baby, we both work in the health field, so that was her biggest thing. A natural panic, like, oh, like, just go get checked out, make sure.
Yeah.
And for me, like, I guess it was a good thing. I kind of got taken within the same day. Like, I didn't have to, at least where I'm at in Philly and even certain parts of Jersey, it was more so on a like, oh, you got to put in a request to get a testing and you got to wait a couple of days, get the testing, wait for the results. And then after that, if you got it, you got to quarantine even more. So like, people started missing work before this really became a big thing. They were missing like 2 weeks of work and were losing their jobs because as of right now, nothing was guaranteed. They didn't have COVID at the time because test results weren't coming back. So people started losing jobs fast.
Yeah.
Like, I know a couple people that were kind of complaining about jobs being lost. But for me, I guess where I'm at, and like, I take care of disabled people. So I guess with some of them being prone to certain things and just having their own issues, for me, I guess it wasn't really a hesitation. They had to get me in there right away. Got my results. I got my results back within 48 hours. So like, all my stuff was quick. I just stayed home one day from work, and I came back negative. Went right back to work. I was good.
Man, I'm still waiting on my shit. I went to the urgent care by TC&J. I took that shit in the beginning of April, and they still ain't giving me my results.
That's crazy.
Like, no.
I guess it's almost one of them situations like, no news is good news, but this ain't really something to take chances like that with.
Yeah, hell no.
Yeah, so I'm sitting there. I'm like, do I have it? Do I not? And I mean, like, at this point, even if I had it, like, the cycle had already passed through. So, if I had it, I had it, and it's done. It's done and over with already.
That was actually a thing for my family that lives in Jersey. Like, my mom and my sisters, the actual whole house had COVID. Like, it just before it became a big thing. Like, once they found out the symptoms, like, they were down for like couple of days, and just like, my sister was down, then my other one was down, and it was my mom, my sister. Like, it was crazy. I wasn't over there, thank God, for the whole time, but I just knew they were sick. But once we found out symptoms, and then my dad actually had to go get tested, and he had it, I'm like, oh, so you goddamn, y'all had this shit the whole time. My bad, I don't know, we're allowed to curse, I don't know what y'all rules are.
Oh yeah, we curse. It's open floor.
Open platform here on Yatta
Oh,
Debates.
fuck that shit, all right. We in this motherfucker.
So all COVID aside, Lamar, we definitely want to let our audience know like who you are, what you're about, like, and everything like that, because I personally feel like your story is very inspirational to a lot of up and coming athletes, college athletes, people in general, black men in general, like, so, you know.
All right. Well, start off, of course, Lamar, like everybody said, I work in the health field, as I explained. I take care of people with disabilities, but I play football. I play pro arena. Unfortunately, COVID has limited our season and pushed it back till 2021. They just did away with our season altogether. Like, we're not going to play. But prior to that, I would say in 2015, I was pulled over and I ended up being arrested for carrying a firearm. Now, it's a whole big spiel with it. It was legally registered owned firearm by me. Like, I owned it, everything. I actually worked for an armor company, pretty much dealing with the money, these people changing out the ATMs and all that. I worked inside their vault, part of the operation. So I needed to start carrying because it's long hours. Sometimes we can't leave till the last truck comes back. Something happens, they break down, they don't get back until 3 in the morning. I started work at 3 p.m. I'm not leaving until about 4. Once they back, unload it, and we check all this stuff.
Gotcha.
Long story short, with that, I had I just qualified not too long ago at that time to be able to get my license to carry. Because first you have to qualify, you get your permit to purchase, and then for our job you have to qualify, go to the shooting range to prove that you have accuracy, that you're not out there on no wild, wild west, you're shooting all over the place. They want to make sure the person they're going to help get this license is actually legit and know what they're doing. You take a little test, they teach you a little bit. Did that, but I had my gun with me one day. Granted, I still kind of made a mistake. I'm not locking it away. Jersey laws are strict.
Yeah.
At this point now, I honestly tell people, I get it. You want to, you want to practice your rights and everything. But for Jersey, if you're not ex-military, police, it's really no point. You can't carry with a firearm in Jersey. You have the rights to legally own. You have a purchaser's permit. That's all it is. It's a permit.
So, I mean, like, can you keep, like, so with that, can you keep one, like, at your house or on location just in case?
Yeah, you can do things like that, or depending on what your work is. Like one of my boys actually delivered medicine, like, for pharmacies. So he ended up getting a license to be able to carry because, unfortunately, we got people robbing Percocets, Oxycontins, all that. That's a big hitter in the drug industry, unfortunately, even on the street value of it. So for that, because of the danger that can potentially happen, they allowed him to be able to carry. Now, for me and my job, since I worked inside the vault, I would be able to carry once I would have got all my signatures that I needed, but it would only be at the job. Once you step foot off the job, gun's supposed to be off your hip, put away in the trunk, locked away. Where I made my mistake at the night I was stopped, I had my firearm, but it was within my gym bag. I didn't have the casing and all that, and that was my fault. I was going to the range earlier that day to pretty much practice. I went to school at Lincoln University. My gun range was out in Philadelphia. So it just easy midterm, blow off some steam, went to the gun range. On my way back, I unfortunately, registration suspended, didn't know I was caught up in midterms. Typical stuff you can make. Yeah, you can make a mistake when things are real like that. So either way, unfortunately, I got pulled over by a cop, and I honestly wasn't going to say anything at first when they stopped me because I'm like, it's legal. I'm not telling them nothing. But me being me, I enjoy the herbal essence, as some would say. I was a little lit, so they smelled marijuana on me, unfortunately. So my knowledge, though, even with a firearm, if you're ever caught driving, you're under the influence, they were only to, if you had the firearm, remove the firearm out your vehicle. You get, of course, arrested like you would because of the fact you smoking marijuana or drinking. You get arrested, you still get your OR, come home, do whatever you happen, you get probation and you get your gun privileges revoked. That's how this is kind of supposed to go. It's not how it went for me. I told them, and the only reason I told them that night, because this was like, I believe this was shortly after, I don't want to get my dates wrong, I apologize, but I know this was after like kind of like with the whole Trayvon Martin thing, what was going on, as well as the guy out in St. Louis. So
Mike
for
Brown,
me, for me, the road I was on that night when I got stopped, it was kind of just like straight highway. It's a street lamp or whatever every so many miles, it seemed.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm not gonna lie, the cops, I believe one was Caucasian, one was Spanish, I believe. One guy, he's just super aggressive, just how he was acting. And my thing was, because of the weed, told him where the marijuana was in my car so they can grab it. Like, wasn't nothing major. So they just proceeded to start trying to check the car and doing all this extra stuff. So I'm like, all right, I can take the chance of not saying anything, or I can say something, and hopefully this is okay. I am unfortunately love to wear all black outside of today. It's wintertime. I have a all black shirt, sweatpants, my work boots on, all black. Unfortunately to some, and I'm 6 foot, I was 240 at the time. So I could look a little intimidating to people at times. So I thought as though it was the best thing to just tell them, because at the end of the day, what I knew, I'm not going to be going to jail necessarily. Tell them about the firearm, they get it. Keep searching the car, they find nothing else. They take me in, and I still remember hearing the judge they called that's on duty for the night on call, and I hear the judge explain, like telling me like, oh, well, they're talking about the marijuana, they're telling about the gun. The judge like, oh, that's an issue. They said, but he has a gun permit. Judge says, oh, that's easy, no problem. $10,000 bill, 10%, he's home on $1,000 bill. Cool. Do that, go to court. Things don't go my way in court. They just tried to compile everything and try to make it seem as if the marijuana that I had for smoking purposes made me a drug dealer, and the gun was based off of protection. Though I had a permit to purchase, my job ID was hanging from my mirror. They saw all of that. I showed paperwork of what I was doing for my qualifications, but the biggest thing that would have mattered was my company vouching for me, and they didn't want to. Because for them, on a form of a PR move or just whatever, it looks bad. So I'm a number, and I can be disposed of. So the biggest thing that could have helped me, I didn't get that chance. And meanwhile, with that, I started playing football back in college. I had walked on to the team, made the team, I was going to be coming back for fall to play ball.
Mm-hmm.
And I got arrested around midterms. I came home, still was able to finish my semester. I came home like 3 days. I came home behind all my classes. I still finished with I think it was 2.475, nothing great, but coming into the semester was all F's because I was locked up midway through.
2.75 sounds like me, and I wasn't locked up.
Yo, my God, Yatta.
But so, I mean, it was an unfortunate situation that happened. But even with that, like, the craziest part about that though, the judge that actually sentenced me was the judge that issued me my gun permit. So, like, this is the first time I've ever seen, like, the day of my sentencing, the judge actually shed a tear, because she's like, you're a good guy, like, as far as I know, you're a straight A egg, you don't do anything. That was my first ever type of charge or anything for that nature. And it just, they tried to give me 3 years. She postponed my sentencing date back so she can work some things, and got them to take my numbers down. For those that don't really know much about, unfortunately, prison terms and certain things, they were trying to give me a 3 with a 5. What that is a mandatory 3-year sentence with it's a 5-year sentence with a mandatory 3, which means you got to do 3 years in prison, and if you're lucky, you come home and finish your last 2 on parole. God forbid you get into any fights, that back number can kind of be played with. They can give you the full 5 years, or however they choose to do it. So she was able to get me 5 years with a mandatory 1 imprisonment, but she had 2 years to play with, and she took 2 years off of the back number, and it gave me 3 years on the back end with a mandatory 1 year to do. I did the year. I stayed out of trouble, like, which wasn't easy. Like I was in Yardville, Garden State Youth Corrections. Didn't realize I was 20. I was 25, I believe, 25 or 26 when I went in. Didn't realize you're considered a youth of the state until you're actually the age of 30. At least in the correctional system, I never knew that. Like, they consider, because if you think about, you want to go into psychology, they try to say the male brain isn't completely developed until about the age of 30, about 28, 30. So
interesting. This is very interesting.
Like, it was a lot of stuff I was finding out, like, oh, this is crazy. But so it was just was what it was. I went in. What made my situation tough, but an experience for me was I probably didn't really have contact from my family necessarily for maybe like the first real 3 to 4 months I was down. Because with me being a first time offender, I got bounced around. You go from wherever you catch your charge in, you go to that county jail for processing, and then you sit. When you have to actually go to prison, which is jail and prison are 2 different things.
Yeah.
When you actually have to go to prison, you'll sit in whatever county jail, wherever you're at.
Well, let me ask you this real quick. So, like going in on the prison system, like, and you know, this is like a big thing that's going around right now. It's just like prison reformation. It's like, do you really think that like from your own experience, do you really think that like locking someone in the cage for 23 hours a day, is that really like rehabilitation? You know what I mean? Like it doesn't really seem like
it is.
Like think about prison like back in the day where, you know, like they actually like allowed you to get like a college degree in prison and like actually let you do constructive things, and like, you know, before this whole private prison bullshit started and like people started profiting off the labor of prisoners. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, because you in there, you get paid. I think it's like
20 cents.
I think it's like 40. I think it's like 40 cents a day or something like that. And if you get a job, depending on your jobs, you get more. Like when I actually made it, technically it would be in a sense upstate. When I made it to up by Trenton, where I was at, I was working in canteen, pretty much prepping like pretty much the guys that order their food and all that. I worked there prepping their bags for them and everything so they could pick up orders. I think that was like $7 a day or something like that. So I was considered one of the high rollers in there. I had the good job. You know, honestly, something like that. Like people want to be, put my feet up and chill.
Mm-hmm.
Do something, because that you go crazy on some real shit. Like 23 hours. It's 20 out of a 24-hour day. You're in your cell 23 hours a day. You get 1 hour, hopefully out actually in the yard and not just what they call like passive rec. Pretty much how, at least where I was at, how it was set up. If you almost look at it, it's almost like a half a moon scenario. When you come into the building, like how it's created, of course, when you walk in, it's just long horizontal walls with, you see some of the gates and all the shit up. When you step in, they had like a lunch line to the left where the guys that was the runners and when they prepped the foods when they came down. And then to the right was the CO's desk for that tier. You would have an A wing to your right, I believe a C wing to your left, and a B wing straight down that hall. And I was in the B wing. Mind you, you already have the gate. You already have like these 2 doors when you're coming in to that portion of the compound. Then there's a metal door, big ass metal door. Look like one of them old school castle type doors, but it's gated, so you kind of like put your hands through and everything, of course, so they can pass paperwork whenever the doors and certain things are locked. When you're not allowed to come out, they pass it through that way. Then you get through there, then they actually have the cells, which are sliding doors. They're heavy, small little 6x10. You better pray you get along with your bunkie, because you're going to get to know that name for the next couple months, however long you're going to be up in there. But it's like, when there, you got a sink, you got a toilet, a little cubby where you can put some of your food, 2 bunks, a chair, and a tight little cubby hole where you can write your letters at. That's it. You can get a TV in there, which is small. Food, of course, is nasty.
Fucking
But
food.
they don't. I don't even know what some of the shit is, but I can honestly say for me, I was cool because I knew how to make the best of my situation. For me, when I got money, I just ordered what I ate at home: tuna fish, mackerel, peanut butter and jelly. It got you by. When they had greens, I ate the greens to try to get my little bit of vegetables that I could. But it's just, even with the yard, you got to think about it. You locked in 23 hours a day. It's what some, like I said, it's kids in there. They're from the age of 18, and depending on the crime, some 17, up into 30. But it was only like maybe 2 30-year-olds there, and then a couple people scattered around the 28,
And I mean,
27.
that's the biggest thing. Like, you know, when you go in, especially like at such a young age, and you have like a serious offense where you got you know you looking at like a minimum of 10 years, it's like you missing out on like a big
Yeah.
chunk of your life. You know what I mean? And it's just like, I'm like, I couldn't even imagine. Like, you know
That
what I mean?
shit, it causes havoc. Like, cause where I was at, it's not necessarily 7 day, but so to speak, it would be 7 days. It's kind of like you sit until you actually get moved to your actual housing unit where you really, really want to be at. It's no different from county jail, how they say 7 day, you'll sit into a certain unit for 7 days, move you onto a different pod. Now, it's the same thing within the prison system too. You'll sit into a central reception agency's area until they move you to your actual pod. Yardville was so backed up though, I sat in my area for a whole month. I got there August 4th. I think I sat until like September 20th or something like that. And just that one location where I should have only been for maybe 7 days, max 14. Like it's crazy because you get classified so many different times. You get classified and I figured out I was going to Yardville. Then from when I got to Yardville, I came back in 2 weeks to get a classification to what I was going to be listed as, whether it's full minimum, gang maximum. And all that is almost a 90-day probationary period. Oh, this went up. It's about to go.
No, it said something about it, like something about a 40-minute thing, but I just pushed love it, so I don't know what it's going to do. If it disconnects, we'll just reconnect.
Okay. So either with that, like, so long story short, we're in there, but then there's some guys, they're there because they already got cases pending, and they ended up being out on like parole or something and gets another charge. And you can just see like some of these guys' faces going to court. Everyone's coming back naturally in your business. You kind of gel and become a little family in there. So, oh, what happened? And some of them you can just tell if they got hit. And by that, I mean, like, if they got the max or whatever they is. Like, it was one dude, he came in, we asked him what happened. He went in, you just kept hearing him stare at the steel like, yo, pop my door. He didn't talk to nobody. He shut it, put a towel up in his window. That's pretty much someone's way of notifying. Either they don't want to talk, they either dropping the deuce, or they doing whatever they else choose to do. We don't ask too many questions. But found out, talking about he not going to see the daylight until 2026. Mind you, this was like 2015. I'm like, shit.
Oh, wow.
And you're like 22, dude. I'm like,
Yeah.
I was just turning up at that time, and here you already been down for a year, and now you're not coming home for like another 16. It's like you seeing the life drain out of people, it's crazy. It's like you really mentally you got to be strong to be in a place like that because it's.
And I mean, you could already see it. People losing their fucking mind being in the house for 2 months. Like,
yeah, and that's why like the joke was floating around for people. They was like, oh, you being stuck in like people being stuck in the house, like try being stuck in prison where you actually can't leave. Like everybody that's been in jail right now and got their feet up just on a simple fact. We've been in more confined spaces. Like COVID, for me, granted, I'm essential, so I worked both of my jobs actually.
Yeah.
But even when I was home, I'm cool with being home. I've been in a tighter space. I can go to a kitchen and make food whenever I want. Sleep whenever I want. I got a lady laying next to me. I'm cool.
Yeah.
But for other people, like that's what some people fail to realize the experience and the advantage you have being out in the real world. Yeah, things may not be perfect, but it's a guy that don't know when he'll get his next meal. Like there was this CO that tried to run it like it was a fucking army. 6 a.m. when that door popped to get your food, if you like, it don't matter. But for some, they would let you just open your door. You can put your shoes on. hurry up, throw pants on if you ain't got pants on. With him, you already had to be dressed before they called, mess, shoes on and everything. When he pop your door and everybody catch it, if he walks past and you're not coming out your room, you can be going to the door. It don't matter. He shuts it on you. And you don't get breakfast. It's not like a punishment to where it's like, oh, once everyone eat, I'm going to pop your door so you can get breakfast. No, you don't get breakfast. Call the warden, complain to the warden about it. All he says is like, oh, maybe you should catch the door next time. Goes on about the business. Like, they don't care. Because at the end of the day, all they see is at times is like, you're a criminal. You did what you did. You're under me. And for those COs that actually cared to get to know you, some of the ones I talked to, that was their thing. Like, why are you here?
Yeah.
You shouldn't be here. Like, you was in college. You was trying to play ball. You was doing something. Like, why are you here? Like, motherfucker, call the judge and them and talk to them. Like, I can't do shit.
And then it's like when you come out to the outside world, right, and like the whole world just kind of like treats you just different as far as like job opportunities and things like that. You know what I mean? Like you got like a demerit on your like on you for like the rest of your life. And for me personally, like I don't think it should be like that. Like, you know, we got like like our personal bias. Like, yeah, if you like a child molester, like, nah, fuck you, get out of here.
Yeah, that's something
but like if you got locked up for like, you know, like possession or some shit like that, like I think like at one point like that should be able to like be let go. Like that shouldn't necessarily like hold that against you, especially when you at a young age. Like, all right, yeah, you know, I make stupid mistakes, you know what I mean? Like, fuck it. And I mean it's you know, harsher for like, you know, people our complexion, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like, again.
And that's the biggest thing. I actually found out within my case, I did research. My actual minor in college was criminal justice. Go figure. So, and the judge, that's actually like a sidebar. The judge actually spoke on that because with the when you get the sentencing, they give you a paper you got to sign. Of course, pretty much acknowledging you're agreeing to go into prison, so it's not considered kidnapping. It's technically, which is a whole nother story. You get into the laws of the Moors and all that. You know that we're supposed to be, the land is ours as the man. We're free to roam about and all that extra stuff. So anything of incarceration is technically considered kidnapping. But that's a whole nother story. We're not gonna get into all that. But so that's one of the things you sign the paper. But the judge was trying to read. It was something about the firearm, like the case, the law, and everything. But in July 2014, it got changed. Why do I know that? Because I had to do this research. So as she's trying to read it to me, I just spit it to her like verbatim without her getting a chance to talk. And she just looks like, what was your major? It's business management. She's like, do you have a minor? I'm like, yeah, it's criminal justice. And I said it with a smirk, like, just because I'm like, just so y'all realize what y'all doing. And you can literally, like, I can remember her face looking at the prosecutor, which was, not that we're trying to pick colors or size, but judge was black, prosecutor was black. And you can see her kind of look, like the look she kind of gave her was like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, why? Because I remember January 30th, like earlier in that year, going to court. And I remember her telling counsel to approach the bench and asking why this was on her desk. And she, oh, well, because of the charge. She's, no, don't play stupid. Why is this on my desk? Why is he not getting probation? Like, he's a college student. He's doing everything. The gun was legal. Why is this on my desk? That right there, I knew if they don't get it thrown out within the next month, I'm going away. Like, it sucks being in court and seeing that, and at that point, you just know, like, you're fucked. And the biggest thing was just, the biggest thing was just whether or not how long I was going away for.
And that shows you, like, how fucked up, like, the whole system behind it is.
System's fucked. Because the judge didn't want to send me away. It showed me, too, the judge is a puppet.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to become judges and all that. You have the final say-so to speak. What it is, when you get when the prosecutor gives them a sentencing, they give them a sentence with a timeline. Like, you can choose the maximum of this timeline, in between, or the minimum. So that's pretty much what the judge, the numbers they gave her to play with, she chose the minimum of everything she could do. But I still remember her saying, like, that same day, it was like, Mr. Johnson, I'm sorry, my hands are tied. Like, I tried the best I could. This is the most I could do. I wish you the best, and don't let this break you. Like, I remember that to this day. As they were, and they even gave me the respect of not cuffing me in front of my folks. They let me go walk to the back before they cuffed me, which don't fucking matter. Y'all still cuffing me. But I remember leaving, and I still remember the judge telling me that shit. She like, don't let this break you. Come out and do everything you said you was going to do. And that was my biggest thing. I was like, the fact she did a favor for me. Everyone was like, oh, you still went to prison. That's not a favor. For a fucking registered gun, they were trying to give me 3 years. That was legally owned by me with no bodies on it, no nothing, clean, fresh out the shop. That was still a blessing at the end of the day of what she gave. Because she could have said, fuck him, whatever, give him the 3 with the 5. I'd have been sitting guaranteed no more than 2 years and maybe like 8 months. Either way, fast forward, did what I had to do. And to answer your one question, as far as like, do you really think it really is doing any justice? I'll say it doesn't, but depending on where you at, every facility isn't the same. Like with the more adult and grown prisons, though they might be hell as far as dealing with the COs, if you drop a paper for certain shit, you'll get answers back a lot faster. Like I tried to apply for church, and when I got there in August, I didn't get approved until November. And then I went to the camps, which is still in the prison compound, but they call it outside of the wall. You're not behind the actual big prison wall. So, but with that, I can't go inside the camp for church now. So now I get approved and I still can't go. And for me at the time, that was my biggest thing. Like I was just getting closer to God before I went away. Outside of the whole catching the charge, I was just trying to do something a little different, and I liked what I was doing. So I was like, oh shit, so this is a test. Okay, I'll take that. I was sick about it because I was actually had a friend that was getting me a tryout for the Philadelphia Soul. Of course, I lost that chance when everything happened. So I went there. I just tried to stay focused. For me, what I did, I stayed out the way. I just worked out. But unfortunately, it's prison, so you can't say your time was completely smooth. Like I did have a couple people say a couple little slick things, expecting, I guess, that I was considered a bitch because you can't be too quiet. Like you don't want to be loud and cause too much motion or noise and get attention. You will get tried. But then if you're too quiet, you'll get tried. So you got to find a balance. And like I said, the good thing, I was an athlete at home. So some of these guys are skinny because they taking perks and all that at home. They got prison weight coming in because they put on weight. They work out. I came in with weight. So people were already thinking I had like 2 and 3 years in. Once they found out when I'm saying 2, your shit went out?
Yeah, my light went out.
I did.
My bad, y'all.
When they found out I was saying 2 months I was in instead of 2 years, they was like, oh shit, you big as shit. So that kind of helped me out once I realized, oh, people not fucking with me because of my size. I wasn't on no cocky shit or nothing like that, but I also let people know whenever they said something that if I felt it might have been sketchy or anybody could use that against me or try to come at me, because somebody call you a bitch or suck my dick, that's 2 guaranteed phrases. That's you fight, even if you're not a fighter. That's literally, they say that's the magic words. Like somebody want to fight you, they gonna call you a bitch or tell you to suck their dick. And if you don't fight, everybody gonna try you. So it's like I just stayed low. I did what I had to do. I tried to pray. I went to finally I made it to the halfway house, and I just tried to handle my stuff smoother. What I did, once I realized I was going to get parole, I decided to find a job because once you get everything good and you're out the way, within a halfway house, you get to a halfway house when you're 24 months shy of your bid. Now, the catch with that is, with me having a 3 with a 1, I made it to a halfway house before my year was even up as far as being in prison. But as long as you're still in a halfway house and all that, you're still considered part of the state. So I was in a halfway house, but with me having technically a 3-year sentence, when I made it to parole, if for whatever reason they decide to say, we don't think you should be eligible for parole, if we want to give you the max of your sentence, if that's more than 24 months, I got to actually go back behind the wall. I can't be in the halfway house no more because I don't meet the eligibility of 24 months shy of my imprisonment. So it was like, it's like teeth, like biting your nails when you go on a parole because like it shit stuck. Like when I went and they actually gave me my date, first what it is, you go to a parole hearing, and then they see and figure out whether you need to go see the parole board to see if you deserve to see the parole board. Some people, they'll say no. Most people make it to the parole board. And also, one thing, you can deny the halfway house, actually, which is something I didn't know. like some guys that were so short, they was like, I'm comfortable where I'm at in prison. I'd rather just do my last 3 months in prison where I'm good, and then I'll go home from here. Because some know if they get to a halfway house, they're going to act up. They're going to start drinking, smoking, or sneaking out. Like, it's like I said, it's about your willpower and your mental. Like, that's how it was. But
yeah.
made it to the halfway house. I got my date. The day I finally got my date, everybody got their date except one guy, and he got an 18-month hit. And it's like everyone's thinking and joking. Like I said, again, you see the life sucked out of somebody because everybody's coming back. You're getting called one at a time. So people coming back, you see they got a green slip in their pocket. You know, like, oh shit, I got the day. You happy? Yada yada. One guy comes back like, oh, I got an 18-month hit. We all stop playing. Show us that shit, and like, it's like no one didn't want to be rude. So you're not really talking to him on the ride back because you don't want to upset him even more, or like almost seem like you're gloating. So it's just like it's awkward silence because everybody else internally you're happy, but also as a prisoner you're sad as shit because you know it's one of you that's not about to leave when y'all, because we all got dates within like a 3-week period apart, so we were all going home around the same time. And for the one guy we actually kind of got cool with within our unfortunate stay, he's not going home, and it's like shit. Yeah, I mean, granted, at this point it don't matter what they did, but it's just like shit. You're not going home with us. Like damn.
Because like we all about to be free, but you still caged in for another.
Exactly, like, and then for 18 months, like not even they gave you a year. Like you got a year and 6 months.
Yeah.
It was trash. So either way, I came home. Like once I got released, I came home. I already had a job. I was working. That was one of the biggest things. Like if you didn't have a job. And if you didn't make it, like if you didn't go to parole and make sure you checked in your first day, like as soon as you get out, like forget seeing your family unless they came and pick you up, your first move has to be parole. They give you a window, but people don't tell you that you're going to be sitting there for a little bit. So whenever you get released from wherever, first stop, go to parole, I did that. Got my officer, but then they tried some slick stuff, like that's how they jam you up. I actually literally, my first day home, I chilled, relaxed with my family. Second day, I started my new job. I had a job, I quit and went to another job just because it was paying just a little more. But they tried, like my parole officer tried to pop up in my house that same day while I was at work. And like, I specifically told them I was starting a new job, all of that. So like my mom actually kind of cursed the guy out. She's like, yo, like y'all know where he's at. Why are you here? We just like, no, you're just like, still like, you're just trying to make sure like he actually has a job, yada, yada. Go to the job and you'll see him. So I realized, okay, my parole officer's going to be a dickhead. So, but my biggest thing I tell everybody, stop being in the way when you're on parole. Make sure you give a clean yarn. If you got a curfew, bring your ass in the house. Like, you've been going all this time. You can't suck it up and just follow certain laws while you still can be able to be out and do certain things. Like I didn't have no ankle monitoring bracelet or nothing like that. Like it wasn't super crazy supervision. I stayed out the way, and I actually, in a sense, I got off a month early, you could almost say, because I stayed out the way, but I started working for a trucking company where I didn't need my CDLs, but I was delivering like farms, like for rentals. And we had to go to Florida, and I asked him like, would I be allowed? And sure enough, he checked the records. Like, you haven't done anything wrong. As long as you can promise the time you'll be out and get back, like, you cool. It's all about just letting them know. I did it. It was cool. I ended up getting, in January, my friend hooked me up with a guy named Michael Quarterly. He's the owner of East Preps, which is a kind of like a football organization. What he does, which he's an amazing guy. He pretty much helps like a lot of guys that are not in big name schools like Division I schools and some big D1 AA schools that may not have had NFL offers and different things. He gives you pretty much a second chance. He hosts a senior bowl for the seniors that are about to graduate and allows them to play and showcase their talent again for scouts. And he's connected with scouts, so he gets people to come out and watch. Of course, everyone always focuses on the NFL. It took me to get up with him and realize there's so many different avenues to make money playing football. People, of course, just want to be on the big tube. They want to be
let's talk about like how'd you like basically like so you always been like an athlete like your whole life, like high school, middle school, like
for the most part. And ironically, what's crazy with that, like I don't have a big track record behind high school. Like I wasn't a star at no schools where I was at necessarily because like my family, unfortunately, we kind of moved around a bit. And the school I went to was a trade school. We didn't really have too many sports and we didn't have football.
Yeah.
So I had to play for what my sending district would be for school. Played for one school, but then I ended up moving. And where I moved, their school, it was called Pennsauken High. They got out of school at 1:50. And practice started at 2:30. My school didn't even end until 2:30.
Gotcha.
So they had a bunch of stars, but they were getting hella looks. Tried to go there. My mom wouldn't let me transfer. Like even the coaches were begging me to come over because I was good. Like I'm not gonna say I'm the best, but I wasn't ass. I could play. But mom, she wasn't trying to hear it, so I sat out for a year. Then I went and played for a school, Woodrow Wilson in Camden. Had a shitty coach. Every scholarship and every chance that people had literally went down the drain. I mean, it was at least like 4 people that had potential offers. They just wanted to see how they would do their senior year. We ain't win a game. He ain't know how to coach. Like it was bad. So
Oh man.
at this point, like everything I've done for football has been from the muscle. Like I just been grinding and just working, trying to work harder than the next. The way I used to train, I used to play linebacker and safety. So what I would do, I always, whenever we do any running or cone drills, I would run with the fastest guys. I always train, like for our fastest receiver, I'm trying to stick him every day at practice. I didn't care. When we hit the weight room, I worked out with the linemen. That way, they're the strongest guys on the team most of the time. I built my strength up. I tried to make myself to be the best player at my position of where I was at.
Gotcha.
Just to get the starting spot at safety, and the head coach moved me to defensive end at 175. So, and people that don't really know about football, even in high school, 175-pound defensive end, no, you're not doing shit.
So
you're not doing shit.
How'd you end up getting into to arena football?
How I got into it is with the guy, Mike Corley, what I was talking about. My cousin, who was getting looked, Jalil Reddick, he's from up North Jersey. He was known for football. He hooked me up with him, and he invited me to. It was a game. It was the Global Bowl. We played a team called Team World. What they did, they just pretty much got a bunch of athletes from all around the world. Some people came from Mexico to play. Some people from Canada, people Alabama, like just scattered all over. Like another Senior Bowl, but it was a free agent game for guys that have left college or never got the chance to finish college, like myself, but still had experience. It gave us a chance again to showcase our talent. So I was there. I played, which I felt like I didn't even have a great game, and it was a tough situation. Unfortunately, that was one of the biggest games of my life, and actually at 4:40 a.m. that day, my grandmother passed. So, and I remember the whole time I took care of her since I was 15. Mind you, at the time I'm 26. And when I was locked up for that whole year, whenever I prayed that night, that was my biggest prayer. Like, just let my grandma make it until I get home. Like, not to say I want her to die or anything, but, like, just please, like, because I knew I would have lost my shit. Like, that she damn near took care of me. So, for that, I felt like it was really a test of wills. Like, do you really want this shit? Because I know me, like, in high school, my grandma in the hospital, she had a seizure. Like, bitch, I'm going home. Fuck school. Like, I'm out.
Yeah.
But I'm all the way in Florida. I'm in Daytona. My plane don't leave in 2 days. And it was just like, what you gonna do? Sink or swim? So I'm like, all right, like I gotta swim. I gotta toughen these rapids real quick. Did it. I had a decent game. Wasn't the best of my ability. And when the team found out, I didn't tell them nothing. When they found out after the game, like I just got like a bunch of like commitments and everything. Was like, bro, like you still balled out considering though what happened. From there, it was a semi-pro arena team. The guy he contacted me. Well, I reached out to him as well. Like any coach or people that was there, they make your the guy. He makes your highlight tape for you too, or he'll post the game, send you everything into your email. You can get somebody to chop it up, make your highlight tape. So I did that. I sent it to the guy. I walked on to his team. I made it. It was an okay season. Actually, prior to that, I tore my labrum in my shoulder, so I was out for a whole year. So that's why I said everything I do is from the muscle. I went to the free agent game with my shoulder still tore. Still played. death of my grandmom, still play. Like I said, that phrase when they ask you how bad you want it, how bad you want this shit. So I did it. I made the semi-pro arena team, played for a season. It was decent. Everything was okay. And then I went to a tryout for that team. They switched from, they were the Jersey Devils, and they pretty much, in a sense, became the Jersey Bearcats, which is actually now considered a pro arena team, which was the team I would have been playing for this season, unfortunately, prior to COVID. So with that, before I played for them, I walked on. I was at their squad. I was at their tryout, and the coaches from the Jersey Flight came, and they extended an offer to all the players because they have their little, I guess, camaraderie within each other. Extended it. I wasn't going to go, and my girlfriend, like, that whole saying of having a good woman behind you, like, I can say, because I'm like, I'm not going to go. She's like, what do you have to lose? Like, they tell you no? Okay, they're going to tell you what you got to work on at least. Like, just go and give it a try.
Yeah.
I went, and after even, like, tearing my labrum, I worked out a little bit. I had the surgery. My 40 dropped to, like, a freaking 5'3". That day, I pushed it in some sweats, and I got my 40 to a 4.9 just for, like, a little bit of workout. Like I said, I just wanted it. Shoulder still wasn't 100%, so I'm, like, fully healed. I probably could have got a solid 4.7 out of that. But either way, I worked out. I tried out. I actually got the call because I knew one of the coaches that was helping out. I knew him personally. He actually called me, was like, listen, like, it's a fight between you and 2 other linebackers. But they got your film and they know that you can play defensive end. So we're going to see what we can do to try to pull you in as a dual threat. So they made it. I made the team. It was an experience. Like, I can't really necessarily bash the team, so to speak, but let's just say it was an experience, but not all as what I thought it would have been.
I
Like,
remember
office-wise, shaky.
I remember there was like a big thing with like the arena football, especially like for Jersey Flight. They said one of the hardest things was like making sure that they got like consistent games, because it was like with the, like when they first started, like a lot of the teams was out like in the Midwest and shit like that.
Yeah.
And they said it was like a real struggle, like making sure that they got consistent games and shit like that. Like, I don't know, like what's some of the like the key differences? Like, like, you want to play football, but you might, like you said, you might not have like had the chance to get to like to the NFL or the major leagues. Like, is it like do you think it's a good alternative for like people who still want to play?
I would say it is. I mean, unfortunately, with the AFL folding, because there's like different tiers in football. You have the AFL, which is kind of the top.
Yeah.
You have the NAL, which is National Arena League, it's kind of like second tier. The IFL is the Indoor Football League. It's kind of like same around the second tier. And then the Jersey Flight at the time, they were in the American Arena League, which was kind of a third tier type deal. You don't get a whole much, about 150, maybe 200 a game. But my thing is doing something you love. If you're good enough, you can try out and make it overseas somewhere. Like, the goal for a lot of people is to get to Canada or to go play in like you might go to like somewhere which they actually, I think, have a team in like Russia and different places. It's not bad from what I hear. Of course, you're getting paid in the sense of their money. But with some of them, they offer different incentives. Like, sometimes they might just pay you, but you coming out to the country, you got to find somewhere to stay, different things like that. Like, I was going to go, I had a guy, he was trying to get me to go to Dominican Republic. They treat you there almost like a collegiate athlete. They were going to put me up in room and board. They want to cover all 3 meals for the day, and I would get $200 American, but it was only per month. And they were like, it was up to you. Now, one thing that I didn't think about, I guess I was so hasty to say no because I wanted a better deal. Yeah. But I didn't think about, I may not be able to speak Spanish or anything like that necessarily, but you can find, I'm sure I'm not the only American that's going to be down there.
Yeah.
And you can find a job. If I'm down there solely to play football, I'm down there for 5 months. Your season is really about 3 months of those 5 you're down there. Finding some type of odd job or some type of work, like, it was things like that I didn't think of. Everyone just wants to glorify and want football to solely be that only source of income.
Yeah.
But it don't work that way for everybody.
let me ask you this: like with the arena football, do you think it like could get to like a level of popularity where like you might start getting scouted for major league, like for the National Football League? Because I know like
that's where Kurt Warner. That's how it happened with Kurt Warner. He came from arena football.
yeah,
Yeah.
I had no
A lot
idea.
of people don't know that. Kurt Warner, when he got picked up to the Rams, I believe he went to the Rams. That was the first team that picked him up. It was from American Football League.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's important because like everybody, like I said, everybody does have like athletes. They do have that aspiration to get there, but it's just like it's not like that could be a good alternative to like at a second chance. You know what I mean? You're still doing what you love, and then you still got scouts looking at you from
yeah.
NFL
Because
team.
what people don't understand though, you can be good in like 11-man football because arena, it's a different dynamic. It's only a 50-yard length.
Yeah.
And 30 yards in width. Whereas in the NFL, it's a 100-yard field and it's a 50-yard width across.
Yeah.
So you're playing in a smaller area with 8 people. So you got three less people. It's only 3 down linemen on both sides of the ball. The linebackers, you have 2 linebackers, which are a Mac and a Jack. I played both for the most part, and I played some defensive end. The Mac is pretty much like you're blitzing pretty much every play almost. Like certain divisions, that's what they require for you to blitz every play. You're going against a running back that's technically, because arena is such a fast pace, he's really like maybe like a tackle that's a little smaller than the average tackle with speed.
Got you.
Like, so people don't understand, like, you're dealing with a lot more bigger bodies on 11-man and like for the NFL and certain overseas. But in arena, it's a lot of more so one-on-one matchups. Like, you really got to be bred for arena. People just think, oh, 11-man, I can come to arena and do what I want. It's a smaller field. It's a lot faster. Like, and for the jack linebacker, for my job as a jack, the rules for you, for both linebackers, you can be no more than, and more so the jack, you can be no more than 7 yards in depth from the line of scrimmage. If you go back farther than 7 yards before the ball is thrown, it's a penalty. But I can run sideline to sideline all game. Like when they're going through their K-ins, like with the downset hut, you can't move. They'll tell you to stay. You're in cement during the K-in. If you move, it's a penalty. So it's not like with the NFL where it's more so just like if whoever's on the line, like with the receivers, if they move, on defense, you can do what you want except for the line. Like a linebacker, he can move as long as he doesn't cross the line of scrimmage. Same for corners and safeties. And arena, the only people that can move are really the DBs and the receivers. With that, it's because the receivers have kind of a head start. If you ever watch arena, you'll see a receiver, he's 10 yards in the backfield. And when the quarterback goes through the K-ins, he starts to run all the way up to the line. He has the quarterback has until the receiver gets to the line to go through his K-ins and call go. So you got to think about if you got a receiver that was in the NFL that runs a 4-4 or 4-2, or you got somebody like Watson and them running around. Think about them in arena in only a 50-yard length of a field, 30 yards in width, starting from 10 yards, running full speed and getting to the line. And as a corner or a safety, you got to get on your high horse and catch this man before he get the ball.
Yeah,
that's why
it's fast paced.
Yeah, it get real. Like I can say my first 2 plays, I was playing the jack, and we played a team that's like they've been undefeated for maybe like the last 3-4 years. When I first started playing for the semi-pro arena team, first 2 plays I felt like I couldn't breathe. I'm like, what the fuck is this? For anyone that plays basketball, if you think about like in like actual basketball, like in the winter leagues, for some reason that gym, it just has that feel the way it opens up your chest because you're running on a court, but the little bit of breeze that's coming in, it's just like anybody that plays ball, like you'll understand it. Or just when you run on a treadmill or working out, any type of cardio that you haven't done in a while, that's how that shit felt. But think about it, I got shoulder pads, a helmet on, a visor. I'm like, bitch, I'm dying. Like, fuck this shit. Like, I don't know if this is for me. But it just, once you get, just like any sport, whatever, you get that first shot, or for me, I get that first hit. Like once I collided with the guy, he went down. I'm like, oh, all right, I could do this. And then it's just like with anything, you got to read the offense, figure out what they're doing, learn as a defender. For the receivers, once you learn, they can only bust certain moves. Like a trick to learn for a receiver, if you see him running up to the line and he might be going towards this, like leaning towards the sideline, no, he's going to probably be coming into the field again, unless either he's going to go straight up the field and they'll pretty much tell you like to cut off his way. Just get in his way and force him either to like not. We don't have a sideline either. You have a wall. In the arena, you can force somebody into a wall, and that shit hurts.
Oh wow!
Like hockey.
It's padded. Yeah, I mean the thing is, it's padded. It's not like hockey, like where the wall isn't padded.
Yeah,
it's padded for the most part, but it's not that thick of a pad. You know the old mats you used to have back in like the elementary days at gym?
The blue ones. Yeah,
bruh, that shit is about that thick, maybe a little thicker. You hit that, like I hit that wall, and that shit echoed. It was boom, bitch. The fuck? I ain't never get hit that hard more than what the walls hit me. Like the shit real. But either way, like it's just paying attention and learning it. So you really gotta be smart with football in the arena. Like some people will say it's easy, but you gotta pay attention. Like for me, like I said, the Jack, I can go sideline to sideline, but I still gotta watch for the running back. Because they won't ever really set up. The running back doesn't set up behind the quarterback like in the NFL, and it's only one running back. That's why they don't do a fullback. That's why they're normally so big. Like pretty much you'll have like a Brandon Jacobs running back for arena. That's what you're gonna get. That 6'2", 240 running back. That's what you're facing a lot of. Like that's what I'm trying to tell people. Like, or if they are smaller, understand that they probably pack a powerful punch, or they're super super fast. Like I was speaking, there's one guy in the American Arena League. He plays for the West Virginia Rough Riders. I actually was in college with him at Wesley College when I went there. He ran a 4.2 840. He fast. And now he plays arena where a good 90% of his yardage that he would have to run to score, he can get there in 4.28 of a second. So think about how many touchdowns he's probably had on the season. Like
people gotta stop sleeping. Like you know, people see like the minor leagues and they sleep on those players, but like some of them like they are beasts. Like even like you know like I'm a fan of like minor league baseball. Like I go to like a ton of Thunder games. Unfortunately due to the COVID, but like I remember they recruited like this guy from the Dominican Republic, right? And even in the minor leagues, he's throwing like 98s, 99s, 97s consistently. I'm just like, yo, like he needs to be in the majors. And they said they put him there because like they were saying like like he has a fast throw, but his shit was wild, so he would throw like a lot of balls. You know what I mean? Like so they said he had to work on his accuracy. So, but like other than that, like he had a mean ass motherfucking arm on like.
And in a sense that's literally the same of what we do. Well, what they do for football, because. Like I said, for the new team, for the Jersey Bearcats, how it was almost like an auxiliary team. Like what it was, you have the American Arena League, but they decided this season coming up, they were creating an American Arena League East. So we'd have an Eastern division. What it was another division that was like the MIAFL. I think it was like the like mid. Well, I think it was the MAIFL, like Mid Atlantic Indoor Football League. The league I was playing in prior to that was just the indoor. It was like the MIFL, just whatever football league shit they had. So with that, they started scheduling them last season a couple pro games. Like they didn't count against the record, but if you look at it, regardless, it looked good because you're playing against a pro team, kind of like almost like for them it's a simulation game just to get something over. But if we were to beat those teams, it would go as an L still for them. It won't count on their major league, on their pro league record, but it's still an L on their record. So the good thing with that, because what it started doing was giving some of these semi-pro players a chance to be seen. Because it was actually a guy, like when I had got picked up, I still went to that game because my season didn't start and I didn't submit our roster. So I was still technically a free agent because they didn't submit my contract. So I went and played. We played the New England Bobcats. And we had one lineman that he was just kicking their ass the whole game. Busting their ass. Like, we didn't even make it back to Jersey yet before our coach had got a call in regards to him to come up and play for them.
Wow.
And the good thing with that is how it would go, because what people don't understand too with Arena, why we say like you really got to be gritty for it. Because for Arena, there's, I believe, the most they finish with, we might have like a 35-man roster max, but only 21 guys can dress game day. So you got to make the 21-man roster every game. It don't matter how good you are. If somebody had a better game last game, or if somebody busting ass at practice better than you, you might get into an argument with the coach. They may not like your vibe or feel like you're not going to help the team. They'll pull you. Like, because I can say, like, I didn't even play every game when I was with the flight, and we didn't even have that many games. So for that, it was a little – it was a little disheartening when I played for them. Like, I almost was tempted not to, like, continue with football, because I'm like, shit, is this what it's going to be? I don't want to deal with this. But I realized it was a buddy system there, too. Like, the guy, once I'm starting to hear him asking about moms and aunts, I'm like, oh, shit, you know some of these guys. Like, you know them personally.
Yeah.
And they were new somewhat to the team, too. I'm like, so it's not like y'all got sports history. Y'all just had history outside of this.
Yeah.
One guy didn't even barely was there for camp. And he ended up playing like a game or two over me. And
he was like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, like, I actually had to
Seriously.
I remember one game I had to go all the way to Atlanta on like a Thursday. The game was Saturday. I had to go to Atlanta and make it back with a fucking Lamborghini truck. By Saturday, the game was at 5. I made it back by 4. Sped to the game, get there just for them not to start.
Wow.
And my son, like, I went and got my oldest son. He's there. He's in the stand. He's recording. I'm sitting on the sideline. And it was like, at that point, I just kind of had enough. We went into halftime, and I just spazzed out. Like, I was spazzing on the coach. Like, the players are grabbing me. Like, oh, you got to calm down. I'm like, no, because this is bullshit. Like, I came here to ball. Like, why the fuck am I here? I'm wasting my time. So, finally put me in. I fucking have a cool game. The last 2 quarters, I'm wrecking shit. Quarterback running for his life the whole fucking time, and I was playing defensive end more than anything. And this is on a pro level. Like, it was. I think we were playing the Enforcers, whatever. I think they're like Pittsburgh Enforcers, something like that. On their ass, and like at the end of the game, it's like all the veterans, they were just like coming up to my locker and shit, like, yo, that's like all that yelling we get you is mad, like, but this is how you prove yourself. Like, this is how you make them respect you when you answer. Like, they want to do some bullshit, this is how you answer that problem. I get it, but at the end of the day, if I didn't kick up, I don't think this would have ever happened.
No, they probably wouldn't even let you play the game.
Yeah. And it was all because at that time I may not, I had the flu when I did the combine for the Jersey fight. I had the flu. Like, they didn't even know that I just came off of the flu. And I still had symptoms. So, like I said, to even be able to run a 4.9 with just having the surgery, like, just fully healed up prior to that. Like, it was, and I'm running with sweatpants inside an arena. I'm like, this was everything meant for me to fail, but I still made it. It was an experience. It just felt good to, like, be on a kickoff, and they got kids. They're standing by the kickoff, and they're, like, asking you about your story or what happened. Like, you're signing your gloves. You're giving things away and all that. Like, that shit, it felt good. I can actually say I got the chance to live a dream most people didn't have a chance. Like, no one really.
I hope when all this blows over, man, you able to get back in the field, man. Like, so.
Yeah.
I mean, we should be able to, but I'm at the point now, just where I'm living at with life. I'm about to be 32.
Yeah.
I'm not talking it, but I said I gave myself till about the age of 35 to make it to a higher level outside of the tiers I'm at in the arena. Like, if it doesn't work, I still have the pro experience. Like, and I'm studying. Like, I do personal training. Like, I still have to fully get my certification, but at the end of the day,
yeah, he about to get my body snatched. Okay, guys, he about to get me snatched. But I do have a question for you, Lamar. Like, a lot of college athletes, when they don't get, recruited to the league, they do get discouraged after that. So what advice do you have for them, like, you know, after they, you know, leave and they are trying to find their way? Because I did notice that pattern in the athletic community with a lot of athletes that come out and they don't go to the league, they don't go pro, they just are out here trying to find their purpose and find their way. Like,
And they end up on the undrafted documentary.
yeah.
But with that, the craziest thing is like you can't give up. Because with me, like I've played more like semi-pro football and all this shit than I played college football. Like when I came home and had my first son, I was only 19 going on 20 when my kid's mom was pregnant. I stayed home from college. That's why I didn't finish at Wesley. I came home and decided to go to Lincoln a couple years after. But like it's just about not giving up. Like I kind of had discouragement from my family. Like they didn't really support my dream of football that much. And I can say that for some athletes too.
Yeah, that's a recurring theme
too. That's the issue sometimes too. Like the family doesn't always support that dream, and sometimes they don't even let the kids play ball that much. Like I explain this to every parent: allow your kid to play sports, just make sure they do their work. Why? On the simple fact that can help them get into college.
Yeah.
Like people fail to realize that you may not be the smartest, but you might be smart enough for college, but the college you may want to go to may not accept you just off of academics, but you might get an athletic scholarship. And unfortunately, they do bend some things for athletes. And it's not that you want to get by on the buddy system like that. But at the end of the day, as they say, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
So with that, getting in good with coaches, counselors, and all that, things like that, it makes a big difference. But it's really about just not giving up. You got to have the determination to keep going. Understand that there's still a way, because when people fail to realize when the draft goes off, the draft that's televised is not the only portion of the draft. People get picked in like the damn 12th round, 14th round, 268th pick. And they go somewhere, and even a practice squad, like you can be on a practice squad still making like $250K. Who's making that in the regular salary? Unless they got like a big job that requires a whole lot of work. Granted, football requires work, but if you really about that shit and you willing to train, lift weights, work out, it's easy to. As long as you get on somebody's practice squad, always understand that there is hope. Or even, like I said, make it overseas. Understand that it's not your last hope. I always recommend the guy Michael Quarterly, his page East Preps. I recommend that to everybody that's trying to make it somewhere, even if you think you're getting looked at. Just because for me, an ex-felon, everything that can go wrong within the school systems, me having the kid, granted, I love my beautiful blessings, but at the end of the day, having a kid, coming home, not having the family support, getting back into college, making it another team that I had to walk on to, catching a gun charge, going to prison, coming home and still getting that opportunity to play ball and making it to a pro level. Like people can say what they want. I got a check signed with my name on it that I was able to cash. That was for playing football, running people over, doing what I love. And if I never got a chance to play football again, I'd be satisfied because I still lived out the dream of getting paid to do what I love.
And that's
there was a bug in the armpit.
Like quite honestly, that's real. Like that's real important. Like sometimes we lose sight of the things that we really want to do. Listening to outside opinions and shit like that. And it's just like you said, you really got to stay focused. And even if you don't achieve like the highest level, at least you could say like, look, I did it. You know what I mean? Like regardless of anything that happened, anything that anybody said, like I did the shit. Like I was with it all the way through.
Yeah.
Because what people are failing to realize too, unfortunately, you can be good and even make someone's team. Football still isn't for everybody. You can be that good and maybe never play it down in a professional football league. You might do some kickoffs, some punt returns and all that, but you're never really playing any actual downs, or you may only make the practice squad. They may decide to release you for whatever reason. So at the end of the day, you need backup plans too. And that's what I'm doing, like with the personal training while I'm still playing football. Because it looked good once I get the certification. I can say ex-pro arena player Lamar Johnson hosting this camp or yada yada. At the end of the day, people want knowledge, and that's their biggest thing. So it's he played football, but he played pro football. So let's go to him.
Yeah.
So and send the information. We can definitely plug in your personal training as well too, because with COVID, we all got our quarantine bodies going on here. So
Speak for yourself.
Excuse me, Yatta. Okay,
yourself,
excuse me. These
like,
snacks was hitting
I'm just
quarantine.
saying.
Okay.
I'm just saying the pool open. I've been hitting the pool up. You know what I mean? Getting
Yeah.
my endurance and shit like that. So
With no invite, you're gonna tell me after the fact that the pool was open when you're already in the pool. Like, who does that?
I thought you worked that day.
I don't got no job. Like, what are you talking
Well,
about?
school, you know what I meant. School, work, same thing.
Yeah. So
Yeah, boy,
yeah.
that's the biggest thing. Really, it's just not giving up, and do research. Understand that the NFL isn't the only thing. Because for me, that was always my thing. I'm like, oh, the NFL, that's the only thing I know. And when people fail to realize too, like these other sports are played in different seasons from the NFL. With the NFL being as big as it is, literally own league of its own, regardless. But like overseas, the CFL and arena, most of that stuff is done in the spring.
Mm.
So people fail to realize with that, it gives a coach the time to look at your ass. You finish spring, season ends somewhere around June, maybe July. You can get invited to somebody's training camp by July 15th or something and make 2 days, and you never know what could happen. So it's about the willpower and understand that the one door that closed, it isn't always the last one. It's going to be another one open. Because everybody keeps asking me about the NFL. I keep it 100. Like I said, I'm 31, 30, going on 32. I'm talking to NFL. If I could get it down in the NFL, I'd be ecstatic. But to say I care for that anymore, I don't.
Gotcha.
If it happens, it happens. If it don't, like I said, doing what I'm doing now, and like even with the training, like I'm big on helping people. Like I love trying to help people because I didn't always have it.
Yeah.
And that's the main reason why I am the way I am. Like when I wanted to help, like I was scared to ask to go to football camps because my family didn't have all the money, and I was a kid that didn't like no. So it wasn't necessarily about whether or not we had it. I just didn't want to hear no. So it was opportunities that I could have even probably had. I just never had the chance to take. Like I used to have coaches from other cities come into my parents to ask me to play football, but when it cost money to go play for these teams, and the coach wasn't going to necessarily pay for me because they still wanted to make sure I had the talent. Like I was getting, in a sense, drafted for city like youth football teams all because I played baseball. I had an arm and I was super fast. So they're like, he can be a quarterback or a receiver. It don't matter. Either way, he can be good. So, but like I said, just life happened over and over. But I just had the willpower. Like, bro, I want to play. I want to get a check. I'm going to make it. And I made it.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Hey, well, that has been like powerful, and Lamar, man, we appreciate you coming on here because,
Always. Thank you for coming.
yeah,
No
man,
problem. Thank you for having me.
of course, man, like you know what I mean, like you know, people really want to like take this experience and learn to like not let these in your circumstances hold you back from you know whatever you want to achieve. Like you said, if you want to go out after something, like you want to do it regardless. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whatever's standing in your way, it's just another obstacle that you got to knock down.
Yeah. Biggest thing too is being truthful. Like with a couple of the jobs that I was able to get, like with my felon record, there were a couple jobs that weren't going to hire me, or like they would hire certain type of felons, but my charge was when they wouldn't hire. But when I just like explained everything what happened and broke it down, like I got a couple jobs, and when I went into that job, I would tell them the same exact thing and let them get to know the real me, not what you see on the black and white paper. And I was able to get promoted and do different things in certain jobs because at the end of the day, I kept it real because that's with anybody. No one wants to lie. So it's
Yep.
like if you coming up in the job finding out like, oh shit, you got like 2 gun charges. Where was this at? You're gonna lose that job. But now if I'm coming in, listen, I got this charge, I got this, but this is the person I am. This is what I've done since. It all makes a difference. And that's just my thing. Like that's what I've been doing. My teacher that actually helped me get into college, I still to this day, like we've been helping each other. I've helped her write papers. Like she's used me as a case study for papers about being a black man in America. And unfortunately at that time, it had to do with police brutality and how I felt as a black male, like walking down a regular street. Like, and it's crazy to this day, I can say it hasn't gotten better. And that's probably 10 years ago when she wrote this paper. I still remember it. Like, and she asked me about it, and I told her, like, and from then I even said it, when you coming down the block, 11 o'clock at night, and a cop ride past you, the minute you see them tap their brakes, you're going to get nervous. And that shit just be crazy. But that's with the athletes, that's the biggest thing. Like, bro, y'all gotta try to stay out of trouble too.
Yeah.
Like, that makes a big difference. College life, yeah, it's fun. You want to turn up. It's one of the best experiences of your life you have. But I'll tell y'all from my experiences that I had in college as well too. Them girls gonna always be there. That's something you gotta know. They always gonna be there, and unfortunately, not everybody was raised with the same morals.
Mm.
So you gotta understand that people looking for a come up sometimes. And as an athlete, you're the face of your school, especially if you're any type of athlete and you're good. You're always, whether you think so or not, going to be looked at with a slanted eye. To your some of your peers and your fans, yeah, you that man. But to those that might despise you or that just never had the chance to make it to where you're at and just feel that how they want, that you're actually always going to have a smug thought when it comes to them. That's how they're going to view you. And sometimes they treat it that way because I've been that way from high school all the way up into college. Like I said, everything looked good on paper to the judge and everything. Like, listen, this man shouldn't be here. He should be trying to pursue his football career and trying to fucking possibly help us out in the criminal justice system. But the prosecutors, no, he had his gun in the wrong spot. It wasn't loaded, by the way. Like, it was, the ammunition was separated. I didn't have one in my chamber or anything like that. I still went away. I lost a year of my life, but at the end of the day, I didn't give up on what my dream was. So if I can come from prison and I can make it with a torn shoulder, y'all athletes that's fully on top of y'all game, y'all can make it. Just understand, making something of yourself is good. It may not always be what you may want it, but don't look at it as such a discouraging event or think that something can't happen. Just because it ain't the NFL, it don't mean you can't get to the NFL. Like, people still get paid. Like, people in the D leagues for basketball, they still get a check.
Yeah.
Think about your typical 9 to 5 you got to do that some people hate working at. Now, if I got a job where I can get paid a couple dollars and where I make enough where I can just go somewhere part time to a job I really don't care about,
Yeah.
but just to really, really keep me afloat, shit, I'm grateful if 75% of my earning come from football or even 25%. People can't say that. Like, you got to do tournaments, flag tournaments, and all these shits to get a check, whereas you can play on a professional level and still get a check. It's so many ways around it. You just gotta know what you're looking for. That's it. Like I said, my Facebook is like stowed out there. It's Lamar T. Johnson for anyone that wants to request or ask information. My Instagram is who_is_Lamar. Ask questions on that as well. Like, anything I can do to help people, even college athletes for at this time being, don't know what they want to do with COVID. Any advice I can help, any professionals I can send your way, I'm willing to help. That's all I want to do. Definitely, and it's nothing against anybody, but definitely my brothers and sisters that really may not know, because let's be honest, a lot of our parents, not every parent has made it to college or made it on a certain level. Mine never went to college, so it's like past high school, love them, but I didn't really have much use when it came to the academic level. Now they're still smart, but it's some shit that I'm learning you don't know yet. You haven't had a chance to learn because you didn't go to college. You don't know much about how the football thing works. So not everybody always has the opportunity to have the proper help. Even with having coaches and athletic directors, they don't always help their kids either. And that goes along with some colleges too. So it's just, if you ain't D1 where your games are televised, they don't always get recorded. Like, people think they do. Like, not every game get recorded. Like, you lucky to have a family member come and record your game.
Oh.
So
Yeah, I didn't know that.
So as long as you got film, like, there's sites that you can just plug your stuff on. Like, everyone knows about Huddle and everything for athletes, but there's actual like sites you can look in. Like, I'll get that information again for anybody that may want it. And you pretty much, you're submitting your film. You make a little bio about yourself. There's like it's like a scouting thing called Global Sports. They pretty much work as an agency. They help you try to get overseas, help you try to just get anywhere outside of the NFL that you can still get paid for. They were the ones that were trying to get me into Dominican Republic, but I had some issues in Jersey I had to fix before I can do that. So I ended up making it pro here, so I kind of passed on that. But like I say, it's ways. Can't give up. That's the biggest thing. Like, too many people get discouraged because, like we said, I think it was called The Patriot, and I'm not going to keep rambling, but it's something I believe was The Patriot with Mel Gibson. He was fighting to get his son back, his eldest son.
Yeah.
And he had his two youngest boys literally going, in a sense, to battle with a whole army just to get his boy back. But one thing he taught his son was he like kind of not to go out and kill nobody to say that, but it's pretty much when you're aiming for something, he was like, you're aiming for something just because you may not hit that. Like, I think he would teach him to aim for like the button on his soldier's shirt, even if you don't, because if it's, of course, like in the army and different things, they teach you a certain dress code, like to have everything lined up perfect. So your button should be lined directly in the center of your chest. Think about you hitting that button in the center of the chest, you'll hit the heart. So he was kind of teaching, like, listen, even if you don't hit your mark, you're still going to do good at what you're doing. That's pretty much in the sense what he was teaching his son. Like, you aim for the button, you're not going to hit it, but you're still going to hit the chest at center mass, which will disable the soldier. It's the same thing within life. You may have a certain mark you want to hit, but just because you don't hit it, understand that there's other things around that area that you can always do. There's so many different things you can do. Even if you may not make it to any type of league, but you might like football so much, you might be able to become a coach.
Yeah.
Like with the with the free agent team, like I played Mexico, I played Canada. Like the guy, he helps you out. So like I said, I can give information on that, but it's just so many different avenues in football, and a lot of people just don't know it because the NFL was the only real big thing televised. So you may not be able to watch, and that's the thing. People don't like watching the arena, so to them it's like, oh, I can't get into it. It's still football. It's still live action, and at times it's more intense. So it's something for people to look into. Is something I would recommend, especially if that's really your passion you have for football.
And like we said, we're going to have all your information down so, these up-and-coming athletes can, really reach out to you about this information. But, Lamar, we really appreciate you having you here on episode 41, man. Like, you really dropped some gems on us.
Yes.
So, and as always, man, if y'all enjoyed this episode of Yatta Debates, please leave a like down on this video, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell because we're going to be pushing out content all summer. Lamar, once again, appreciate you having you on here, brother, and I hope you have a good one.
You do the same, man. Y'all stay safe.
All right.
You too. Did you stop recording yet?